They slapped a disabled girl in a quiet diner, thinking no one would care. An hour later, the sound of roaring engines changed everything, and the bullies realized some cruelty is never ignored. Like, subscribe, and stay connected with us. Let's get started. The small roadside diner sat quietly along a highway in Arizona, its neon sign flickering under the afternoon sun. Inside, the smell of coffee and fried food filled the air. Most customers were regulars, enjoying a calm lunch, unaware that an ordinary hour was about to turn into something unforgettable. Emma Parker, a 21-year-old young woman with a physical disability, sat alone in a corner booth. She walked with difficulty and spoke slowly, but her eyes were gentle and observant. She loved coming to this diner because it felt safe, familiar, and kind. Until that day. 3 teenagers entered loudly, laughing and pushing each other. They were bored, reckless, and cruel, in the careless way youth sometimes is. Their eyes quickly found Emma. One of them whispered something, and they all laughed as they slid into the booth behind her. At first, Emma tried to ignore them. She focused on her milkshake, her hands trembling slightly. The whispers turned into mocking comments. They mimicked her movements, laughed at her speech, and made cruel jokes meant to sting. Other diners noticed, but looked away. Emma's face flushed red. She asked them softly to stop. That only made things worse. One of the boys stood up, leaned over her table, and knocked her drink to the floor. The glass shattered, drawing gasps from the room. Before anyone could react, the boy slapped Emma across the face. The sound echoed through the diner. Time froze. Emma gasped, tears filling her eyes as shock and pain washed over her. The bullies laughed nervously, feeding off the silence. The waitress stood frozen behind the counter, unsure what to do. A man at the counter clenched his fist, but stayed seated. Fear, confusion, and shame spread through the room as everyone waited for someone else to act. The bullies, satisfied with their power, threw some bills on the table and walked out laughing. Emma sat shaking, her cheek red and swollen. No one moved for several seconds. Then the waitress rushed over, apologizing through tears. Emma nodded quietly, though her heart felt shattered. She wasn't crying because of the pain, it was the humiliation, the feeling of being invisible and unprotected. She finished her meal silently and asked for the check, her voice barely audible. The diner returned to normal, but something heavy lingered in the air. Outside, the bullies sped away, convinced they had gotten away with cruelty. Inside, Emma slowly made her way toward the door, unaware that someone had already made a phone call. An hour later, the low rumble of engines began to grow outside. One motorcycle turned into 5, then 10. Chrome and leather filled the parking lot as a group of bikers rolled in and parked in perfect silence. The diner door opened, and the room fell quiet again. These were not reckless bikers looking for trouble. They were veterans, workers, fathers, and brothers. Many wore patches showing a motorcycle club known for charity rides and community protection. At their front walked a tall man with grey in his beard. His name was Jack Iron Reynolds. His niece worked at the diner. She had been the one who called him, her voice shaking as she described what happened. Jack scanned the room, his eyes calm but intense. He saw Emma sitting quietly, her face still marked. He removed his gloves and approached her slowly, kneeling so he was at eye level. "Miss," he said gently, "may I sit with you?" Emma nodded, surprised. "I'm sorry that happened to you," he said. "No one deserves that. You're not alone." Tears finally fell freely, not from fear, but from relief. The bikers filled the diner, ordering coffee, tipping generously, and making their presence known without a single threat. Their calm strength shifted the energy completely. No shouting, no violence, just undeniable protection. 20 minutes later, the diner door opened again. The 3 bullies returned, laughing, until they froze. Their faces drained of color as they saw the room filled with bikers watching them silently. Jack stood slowly. "You slapped a young woman here," he said evenly. "You laughed, you walked away." The boys tried to joke their way out, but their voices shook. Jack didn't raise his voice. "You will apologize right now, and then you will leave, and you will remember this moment for the rest of your lives." One by one, the bullies turned to Emma. Their apologies were awkward, rushed, and filled with fear, but they were spoken. Emma listened quietly, her heart pounding. Jack nodded. "Now go." They left without another word. The bikers stayed a little longer, ensuring Emma felt safe. Before leaving, Jack handed her a small card. "If you ever need help," he said, "you call this number." Emma smiled through tears. "Thank you," she whispered, "all of you." That day, a diner witnessed something powerful. Cruelty had been answered, not with violence, but with unity, courage, and quiet strength. Emma left the diner standing taller. She knew now that even when the world feels cruel, unexpected guardians can appear, and kindness, backed by courage, always wins.